In this video, I'm going to be looking at the B&B Offroad Radiator guards with braces and installing them on my 2024 KTM 300 EXC TBI. Here you can see what's included in the B&B Offroad Radiator guard system. You get your two front guards and then braces and a pack of hardware and some stickers. Each guard consists of three main pieces. So this is the front guard, which is actually made of two pieces of 2.5mm thick aluminium. So a total thickness of 5mm. And then you've got the brace here, which mounts behind the radiator and bolts on like that to surround the radiator and prevent it being bent backwards. And then this plate mounts onto the frame and provides the support for the brace. And you'll see once I've installed it, it'll become clear about the function of that. So one mod I've already made is for my radiator shrouds. I like using a rubber strap on each side to hold the shroud in place rather than using the two mounting bolts on the shrouds. Problem with if you use a bolts, if you catch a shroud on a tree, and especially on the 2024 model, they stick out quite a long way, very easy to get hooked up. If you catch it on anything, it rips the plastic off. So these shroud straps provide some give, and typically you don't damage the shroud if you catch on something and stop quickly. So these bolts, I just drilled 6mm hole on each of the sides of the lower fin inside area, and then used an M6. The bolts are the ones they use to hold the lower fork plastic protectors, and then a strap will just hook on like that and then hold the shroud in place. And here you can see the hardware included, various bolts, washers, also a 3D code. If you scan this, it'll take you to a YouTube installation video. I have watched this, pretty thorough, and I'm not going to go into detail about the installation. I'm basically going to install these shrouds, and any tips or possible modifications I might need to make for my bike, I'll highlight those. Also included is two thick washers, and a note regarding those. These are to space the underside of the front fender so that you get more clearance from the guards. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to need these. My front fender was rubbing on my old guards, so I'm going to install these as well. And on the right hand side brace, there is provision for mounting a fan, which I'm going to do. I have a Trailtech digital control fan. These holes here are for the digital display. In the B&B Offroad video, they said that a holder for the display was included in the kit. My kit did not come with that holder, which was a bit disappointing. So I went ahead and made a holder myself from some sheet aluminium, and I'm going to be using that. If you have a Trailtech kit and need that mount for the display, when you're ordering, I would highlight that you need the mount just to make sure there's no issues. And before I remove my current guards, which are Bulletproof Designs one, I thought I'd show them to you and the setup. So as I mentioned, I've got a Trailtech fan with a digital display. This will all mount to the B&B brace on the rear. The right hand side radiator is stood up really well. So I ride off-road many times in rocks, and the side impact protection of the Bulletproof Designs guards, really good, no complaints at all. What is not so good is, particularly if you're using rubber straps rather than bolting your radiator shroud here, is if you have a frontal impact, the guard can be bent back. So my right hand side one hasn't really had that sort of impact, but I'll show you my left hand side one. So here you can see my left-hand side radiator and guard. As you can see, it's become quite bent, both the guard and the radiator, due to a impact. And you can see it moves quite easily, which if you're using rubber straps is a problem. And a few months ago I was on a ride, had a big impact here. It pushed the radiator back and actually pushed the hose fitting onto this part of the power valve cover, and bent that and resulted in a leak. So I was able to fix that during the ride, continue no problem, but the radiator is quite badly bent. I do have a new radiator. I'm going to take this one off, inspect it and see whether I can reuse it. And here you can see the left hand side radiator. It's quite mangled. But really the main concern is the lower hose connection, which is very bent, and I'll keep this as a spare. I'll try and repair that and straighten the radiator up, but for now I'm going to put on the new radiator I have. And here's the left side Bulletproof Designs radiator guard. Both of the frame mounts have cracked here, which is probably why it was a bit loose and not holding it well. But as I mentioned, no real complaints on this. I think it strikes a good balance between weight and protection, especially side impact protection. Where you can run into problems is if you're rubber strap mounting your radiator shrouds, and then you have very little to and fro resistance, which is why I wanted to switch to a guard with a brace. Okay, so I've started the install of the B&B guards. You can see here I've got the support plate already installed, mounted, and it's important that you get the radiator mounts. You can see the two black tabs actually insert through the guard plate and go onto the frame mount behind the plate, both top and bottom. If you don't do that, the radiator would be sitting out too far. And to install the plate, all I did was loosen the top radiator hose clamp, pulled the radiator out, and then I was able to slide in the plate behind it and install it correctly. And here you can see the rear part of the right hand support plate, and there's a spacer which goes from here to the left hand side, and you use screws on both left and right, which holds it in place and makes this very secure. And it has a fork-like piece which hooks on to the frame mount here behind the rubber strap, and included in the kit are some rubber protectors which go behind the plate. And then there's two captive nuts here and here, which the rear brace mounts onto and then is held securely in position. And the left hand side is basically the same. Slight complication because there's a fair bit of wiring around this area. Normally it runs down the frame just here. With this plate there isn't enough room, so you have to cut off the zip ties which hold all of this wiring in place, pull it back, and then I've got a zip tie going around the frame here to hold it in place. And now there's plenty of, it's not pushing hard on the wire, it's not pinching it at all. Just be sure that you're not getting it pinched or you might have issues. But yeah, basically the same method. Loosen the top hose clamp and pull the radiator out, slide in, and then you can secure this and proceed. And here you can see I've mounted the guard and brace onto the support plate. The front guard is held in place with 3 bolts, so the upper and lower mount onto the frame, and then the middle one goes into the support plate. And then on the side there's 4 bolts holding the front guard to the rear brace. And here you can see the brace, and I've mounted the fan and also the digital readout on the bracket I made, and also reinstalled the temperature sensor in the radiator. The brace is held onto the support plate with 2 bolts. So there's one here and one lower down, which you can't see. On the other side, you'll be able to see more clearly. And to fit the guards, it's best to drain the coolant from the radiators. On these models, the cylinder head has a bleed screw, which you should use to bleed air from the head when you're filling it. So be sure to do that. The method is in the manual, very easy. Just add some coolant and then slowly remove this until coolant comes out of the screw, and then reinstall the screw and then top off the coolant. And here you can see the left side guard, and the install is the same. You've got 3 bolts, upper and lower, into the frame. I should mention that because my pipe, there was very little clearance from the top of the pipe to the radiator, I did trim this area of the guard just to get some clearance. Depending on what pipe you're using, you might find it fits fine, but yeah, that's pretty easy to do. And here you can see the radiator brace on the left side. So the brace mounts to the support plate with these 2 bolts, and it is secure. It doesn't bend back easily at all. So really pleased with this. I think it'll hold up to quite a bit of abuse. Okay, I've got everything assembled now. The tank's back on in the seat. I also put the front fender on using the washers provided to space the rear of the fender away from the guards, so that's no issue. One thing I did forget to mention is that when you're reassembling the radiator fan connectors, put some dielectric grease or silicone grease inside the connectors to help prevent any corrosion of the terminals. They are very prone to corrode. If you do get corrosion inside, it will fail and the fan won't come on, which is obviously not good. Really pleased with how the kit mounted up. It does take a little bit of a time, but definitely check out the B&B installation guide, and hopefully this video will help you with some tips as well. Looking forward to getting some good use out of these guards. They should provide some good protection for my riding.